Good morning. Good morning. Hope everybody's morning is going well. Hope everybody had a good night, got some rest. Weekend was awesome. Whatever you got into, if you had to work, had to get away for a little bit, just, hope you had a good weekend. Felt the need to do a video today, so, today being, what's today's date? Terrible, I don't even know the date. But either way, you'll get the date when I upload this. It's the day after the untimely passing of Mr. Kobe Bryant. If for some odd reason you don't know who Kobe Bryant is, basketball legend to some, Lakers player. I don't want to get into stats and all that type of stuff, but just Google him. Everybody should have a general idea on who Kobe Bryant is. And it was very tragic the way he passed. He passed in a helicopter crash, unfortunately. What kind of twisted the knife a little bit more with his untimely passing is his daughter was with him. His daughter, being a player as well, they were on their way to do some training, and they're on their way to like a basketball camp academy to do some training. So R.I.P. to Mr. Bryant and his daughter Gigi, and condolences to his family and to the families of how these things happen when a celebrity, an iconic figure, somebody that's so ingrained in our culture, when they pass, if there's anybody else around in the vicinity, people tend to overlook them as well. But other people had lost their lives as well. So condolences to their families as well. We may not ever know their names, but other people lost their lives in this tragedy as well. When I first heard the news, I was just coming off of the weekend, went in and celebrated somebody's birthday, and just had an all-around good time. Me and one of my brothers, we went up. It was like our first time chilling in a long time, so we got to get out of town, chill for a bit, relax, and just kick it. So I'm coming off of a high on the weekend. I'm good. I had a good weekend, socialized, chilled, laughed, met some new people, whatever. Just regular everyday stuff. And I happened to check Facebook on my way back from out of town, and I seen my brother, my actual brother. He put on his timeline, Kobe dead? Nah. But I didn't pay no mind. It didn't even register. So then I get a call from my mother, and she's not hysterical, but she's heightened, She's like, Mike, Kobe's dead. And I'm like, Kobe who? Bryant? Like, what happened? I said, nah, Mom, nah, what happened? And she said he died in a helicopter crash. And I said, no way. Googled it, nothing popped up, nothing was on my timeline. I said, nah, no way, hoax, whatever. She said, look again. I refreshed it. I hit the refresh button on my engine search, and when I say my entire engine search changed. Kobe. And, it was a state of shock. It was just like, because, no, I don't know Kobe. No, I've never met him. I'm not a huge sports guy. I'm not. If you know me, I'm a nerd. I'm not a huge sports guy. But being as though the name Kobe is so synonymous with basketball in, today's time, and being as though that Kobe was such I feel as though he was an icon to some, a legend to some, and, he was just so ingrained in, our culture. It was a hard hit. It was a hard blow. And, you know, I expressed to my father what had happened. He didn't even know. I called him and let him know. My father loves Kobe. I gave him a call and let him know, and it was like a gut punch for him. Yeah, he was hurt. And, you know, yesterday, just after being on such a high, after hearing that, the rest of the day just seemed real gloomy. Just real, just blah, you know? And certain thoughts began to come to me, just thinking about different stuff and people. And I know I've expressed this in videos before. I know I've expressed this to friends before. Yo, life is super fragile. And I know there's going to be a bunch of videos talking about this and all that. It's just my take on things, you know. It's just, life is so freaking fragile. Who's to say when I was driving back from out of town if something wouldn't have happened? Who's to say that, you know, anytime I'm on my tools, something happened? Who's to say anytime I get into an airplane, something happens, you know? His untimely death really just brought back to the forefront of my mind that, yo, like, life is super fragile and anything can happen. And once your time card is punched, that's it. That's it. You know, going into 2020, I had expressed it, you know, all things from the past, all 2819 things, whatever, issues, this and that, I leave it. It's done. It's whatever. Not necessarily saying I'm going to reconnect, rejoin, you know, reestablish old institutes, old commitments, old friendships. Not necessarily saying that, but it's just, you know, letting the new year come in, let go of that old stuff and move forward in a new, you know, with new clarity, in a new headspace, you know. Looking at this Kobe thing, it's like, man, some of the things that you get into it with people with, some of the things that you argue with people about, some of the things that you let get to you, some of the things that you just let bring you down. Imagine now. This man is with his daughter in the helicopter. The helicopter's going down. The helicopter didn't explode or anything like that. It's going down. In the last moments he has with his daughter next to him, we don't know. I can only speculate. I'm sure he would have traded everything for his daughter not to be there. But I'm sure before any of that happened, he was getting ready to go with his daughter, train her, do something that he loves with somebody that he loves. And, you know, more than likely there wasn't an overbearing negative thought on his mind. You know, some of us walk around with this overbearing negativity because of situations and circumstances. That last bad thought you had, that last negative feeling you had, imagine you got into it with a friend. You got into it with your family member. Imagine you holding on to that, not letting it go, not trying to fix it, not moving on from it. Imagine you holding on to that, and that is your last thought. That's the last feeling you had, because your time is up. I just couldn't imagine that. I couldn't imagine having something that had disturbed my peace, having something that had just brought me out of my element, brought me to a place of negativity, and that was the last thought. You know what I mean? Everyone takes tragedy and interprets it in their own way. You know, I'm sure people didn't even like put that much thought into it. I'm sure people saw it and was like RIP to the man Kobe and keep it moving. I'm sure people went right to his basketball stats. I'm sure some people was probably like, good riddance, whatever, unfortunately. You know, there just are people like that in the world. But me, and I only speak for myself, me, when I heard it, all I kept thinking about was, dang. I couldn't imagine what his last thoughts were, especially with his daughter right there, dang. What would I have been thinking? Given circumstances that are happening in my life, if at this very moment, if the next second I cut this video off, I upload it, and I'm gone, this is my last testament. This is the last thing I said. The last thing that man said was bigging up LeBron for passing him. And I think number 3. Forgive me, Pierre. I don't really, but I think number 3 or something, all-time shooting or something, all-time score or points. And that's the last thing he texted. I mean, that's the last thing he put on Twitter. What's the last thing you said to somebody? What's the last thing you put up on your Facebook? Now, I'm not sitting here trying to be holier than thou. I'm not sitting here saying, hey, don't post that foolishness because that could be the last thing you ever posted and this and that. I'm just saying, just as an overall theme of who you are, what's the last thing you said to somebody? What's the last time you posted something positive? What's the last time you bigged somebody up? When the last time you told somebody you loved them? When the last time you looked out? When the last time you just truly reached out to people and tried to make sure all is well? It's a fragile thing, the life we're all blessed with. Very fragile. Very fragile. Just you could look up some of the most ridiculous ways people have passed, and your eyes will bug out of your head like, dang, like, man just tripped and fell and cut himself and got infected and died. It's. And I'm not laughing at death or anything. Please don't misinterpret me chuckling at it. It's not funny. It's just more so like just baffling, And I think it's moments like these where you truly look at life and realize that, these people that we put up on these, I don't want to say we put Kobe on a pedestal or, but, we look at these celebrities and we look at these people that have reached such an acclaim in fame, in sports, have reached this status. And sometimes we tend to overlook the fact that they're just as mortal as you and I. And just because you've reached some status somewhere in life and stuff like that doesn't take away the fact that they bleed the same way we bleed. They feel the same things we feel. And their life is just as precious as ours. They could be worth whatever. They could be this, they could be that. But everyone's life is just as fragile. Everyone's life is just as precious. It's very sad. And, I would hope that some people looking at this, especially being as though Kobe was a lot of people's favorite player, legend, stuff like that. I hope it just really puts things into perspective and lets you see that, you know, whatever foolishness you got going on in your lives, fix it or let it go. Fix it or let it go. You got that's it. Fix it and let it go, I should say. Fix it and let it go. If it's not something that's fixable, let it go. Let go and let God. Again, you know, I pray that the family gets through this tough times, because no wife should have to bury her husband. No wife should have to bury her. No mother should have to bury their child. I think that's a glitch in the matrix, man. I always felt that way. No parent should have to bury their child. That's not natural. You know, it's not the progression of life. But, you know, it's unfortunate that, you know, people do have to deal with that. So, and I pray that, you know, everybody, you know, you see this video, you get some thoughts on it, you know, you have your own thoughts, or, you know, you don't, you know, it's cool. You know, if it's not that serious and didn't feel that way, you're just like, whatever, hey, he died, hey, another person gone, whatever, you know, and you have all right to feel that way. But to those that, you know, it did, like, touch them in a way and it made them put forth a little bit more energy into thinking about different things and stuff, you know, I hope that, you know, you don't let it really drag you down. I hope you don't really let the whole thing, like, get you to a point where you're like, gosh dang, you know, become really morbid, you know, because it's very easy to do that when, you know, when you get into your thoughts and you let things continuously, you know, rattle around in there. You know, I do think it's good to, you know, you look at these things and you do take a second and sit back and say, well, damn, you know, it just goes to show you that anything can happen, anything is possible. And you think you have time to fix whatever situation, you have time to fix whatever relationship, you have time to, you know, oh, I can choose to be angry today, I'll be all right tomorrow. I could choose, oh, I'm going to hold on to this rage, I'm going to hold on to this anger, I'm going to hold on to this, you know, upsetness and all of that for as long as I possibly can, because I have time to get over it and this and that. You don't know that. You don't know that. You know, I'm not quantifying, you know, how long you should be upset. Be upset for as long as you want, but let it be known that you don't know when your time is up. So if you have an opportunity to let something go, if you have an opportunity to fix something, if you have an opportunity to move on to do bigger and better things, take it. Yeah, I think that's it. All right. Shout out to everybody that still watches my vids. Shout out to everybody that, you know, put God first, you know. Shout out to everybody that put family up there. Shout out to everybody that, you know, is doing what they love, is moving towards doing what they love. Shout out to everybody that's working hard. Shout out to everybody that's trying to be better. You dig?